Hello, how are we doing today? It is October 29th. 2 more days until the end of October. Let's see, today's Wednesday, so Friday is Halloween. Exciting. Then next week, on Tuesday is, well, it's two important days. Next week, Tuesday, is two important days. Important day number one is it's my mom's birthday. November 4th is my mom's birthday. Yay, happy birthday, Mom. And Tuesday of next week is also the first Tuesday of November, which means it's election day. So make sure you vote. It's not only for presidential elections. Go vote. I always say, if you don't vote, you can't complain about the government. If you don't vote, you can't complain about your elected officials because you had nothing to do with it. Yeah, so don't forget to vote on Tuesday, or if you're like me and you vote by mail, don't forget to make sure you sent in your ballot, which is a very good reminder for me. I need to send in my ballot. And if you're not sure who to vote for, I'm not going to tell you who. I think you probably all know how I vote at this point, but if you're not sure who to vote for, especially when it comes to like some of your local smaller issues, where actually, a lot of times your smaller issues are actually the ones that affect you more because they're more local, depending. But anyway, if you're not sure how to vote, you don't know like what somebody's standpoint is, you can go to, there's like a site that's vote, I think it's Vote 411. But there are various sites in addition to Vote 411 that will give you nonpartisan, I always want to say non-denominational, nonpartisan information about the candidates on your ballot. So I absolutely love that we all get the sample ballots in the mail, even if you don't like do mail-in voting, you get a sample ballot in the mail. Take that sample ballot, or if you didn't get one, I'm sure you can probably type in like who's on my ballot and where you live or whatever into a search engine and find it. And you can go to a site like Vote 411 or some site that has nonpartisan information, and they just give you the facts about the people who are on your ballot so that you can make an educated decision as to who you want to vote for without like this person said that and that person said that. They give you the facts. They tell you how that person has voted in the past. Facts. Important stuff that allows you to make your own decision, not copy somebody else's. Okay. And I really feel like if we all go out and vote, we're going to get better reactions, we're going to like our government better if we're all voting, because when you find out what the majority of the actual people who live in an area want versus what happens in elections, it's not always the same thing because too many people aren't voting. All right. So make sure you do that. If you aren't sure who to vote for, look it up. If you have to mail in your vote, make sure you've mailed it in ahead of time. It has to be in the mail by the 4th as well. So mine is sitting in my little basket over here because there were a couple of things on there that I need to look up online. Like I know who I'm voting for governor, but I want to make sure some of the other stuff I actually am well informed on. Good morning, Monica. Good morning, Monique. Thank you, Monica. And voting early tomorrow. Yes, I got something. I got a email or text or something yesterday saying for people who vote in person in my area, we could start, I think today, possibly tomorrow. I don't remember because I vote in the mail. My husband is taking my son. The two of them are voting together. It'll be my son's first time voting because he's just turned 18 over the summer. So my husband and my son are voting early morning on Tuesday. Maybe my son might be able to get a ride to the college out of that instead of having to take the bus. So they're going to vote in the morning before school, and on Tuesday, since they both vote in person. Thank you, Monique. Let's see. Oh, yes. That PSA was obviously for people in the United States. And Monica, you were a poli-sci major. That does not surprise me. I can see that. I can totally see that. You are a very intelligent and well-informed person. Poli-sci major makes sense. The voting is important, yes. I'm not sure what is today here. Oh, do you have voting today? I don't know how often the Netherlands votes, like or when. Most places, as far as I know, most places that will vote once a year. I just don't know when during the year they usually vote, but it does make sense that it would always be around this time because things usually start on January 1st, so you would want to have time. So maybe you're saying that voting starts today. Oh yes, that is, I see it in a couple more comments. Voting starts today. Okay, cool. So yeah, now thank you, Petra. That it makes sense. No matter what country you live in, if you live in a country where you vote annually, odds are good it's sometime around now that you're going to be voting, because odds are good that the new people start in January. So Monica, love mail ballots. Me too. I find that when I was voting in person, as much as I intended on doing the research ahead of time to make sure I knew who I wanted to vote for some of the issues that I wasn't like enough informed about, I wouldn't actually do it. But when I'm voting mail-in, then I'm home when I'm filling it out. Therefore, I will sit down and I will take out, like when we're done here, I'm going to grab my ballot, which is right over here in my bag, which is why I keep pointing this way. I'm going to take out my ballot. I'm going to go online and I'm going to fill in my ballot and get the information about the people that I'm unsure about and do that right now. So yes, I do love the mail-in ballots as well. And of course, that's my reason. That's a very kind of privileged reason to love it, because like I don't have anything stopping me from voting in person. But there's all those other reasons why mail-in ballots are awesome. You know, if you can't get to your in-person ballot, your in-person voting place, if the lines are horrible, if you live in an area where you in line can be a dangerous thing, maybe you're a person of color, or just the way you dress, or just the people, you know, who computer is thinking. There we go. All right. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't get lost, but it looks like I did. Okay. So we have, oh, there we go. Haha. We got it going now. Netherlands voting is today. All right. Third time in 4 years. All right. Mail-in ballots, but not federal voting. Oh, so you can mail in ballots for like your local voting, but not for federal voting. Monique is in Canada, by the way, for those of you who are wondering what she's talking about. So that would be a Canada thing. I know this is so not crochet related, but you know, I always spend like 5 minutes making sure everybody's here, and because voting was on my mind, it ended up being what we were spending the actual 10 minutes on. All right, well, we've given everybody some time to show up now, and that was my little PSA about don't forget to vote. And of course, that on Tuesday, not only is it voting election day in the U.S., but all over the country, all over the world, it is my mom's birthday, which is very, very important, because my mom is the most perfect mom for me ever. My mom is awesome. My mom is totally wonderful. Nobody would have been a better mother for me than my mother is. She's amazing, and I love her dearly, and I'm very lucky that she's still around. Monique says you can mail in balance in Canada for Providence, but not for provinces, but not for country federal. So that would be like for example, within the United States, you would be able to mail in your ballots for state things, but not for federal/country things. All right, cool. Thank you, Monique. It's always fun to learn those things. Like, it's good to be informed about how the world outside of your own little area works, right? All right, so now that we chatted about all of that, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of anything. Oh, okay. So Petra is saying in Netherlands, lost trust in the lost trust in the cabinet here. A lot going on, really. Okay. See, now there's a lot of us here in the States right now who are going, Netherlands, that would be good. So, all right. Today we have fun things, and I really want to hear from you guys too. So please go ahead. I love how this has been a great little conversation about remembering to vote and everything. But be this active with our crochet knit kind of conversation we're about to have, because I really want to hear from you. Okay, I have been. First of all, I got this awesome early release of this book, Reversible. I thought I had this switched so you would see everything right way, but now that I'm looking at it, I seem to have not. I seem to be back to mirror. Oh well, sorry guys. The Reversible Crochet Sweaters by Ana-Maria Babanica. I used to be able to say it, and now I tried to say it too fast. Ana-Marie has designed many patterns for Crochet Foundry, and oh, Petra says it is good to read. It's the right way for you guys. Okay, so maybe it's just me. I'm not sure. She's designed many patterns for Crochet Foundry, and she is an amazing human. I haven't talked to her like live or in person, but I've certainly emailed back and forth with her plenty of times, and I really, really like her. She's a good human, and she is a fabulous designer, absolutely fabulous designer, beautiful creations, very just. I love the way her brain works, right? I love it. I love the way her brain works. I love her creativity. She's really good at writing patterns, which even though everything gets tech edited, if you're really good at writing a pattern, then there's only so much a tech editor can do. So when it starts off already really well written, you're still going to end up with an even better final product. All right. So yeah, so that's awesome. She's amazing. I'm going to go through these with you. But when I got this book, when I was first approached about doing a review for this book, which is why I have it early, there's another awesome thing about November 4th. You know what else November 4th is? It's the day this book is released, right? Okay, so this book is released on November 4th. You can pre-order it. Here we go. I have just the US Amazon link here. That's the US Amazon link, okay? In the description of this video on Facebook or YouTube, I hope it shows up on Instagram as well, but you will see the actual link to where you can pre-order this book on Amazon in the US, Canada, Germany, and UK. So all 4 of those links are in the description of the video. So this is, and here is the name. Oh, here we go. Let me pop that up. This is the name of the book, Reversible Crochet Sweaters, 16 Patterns for Double-Sided Tops and Accessories Using Interlocking Technique by Ana-Maria Babanica. So I only had to type in Reversible Crochet Sweaters and was able to find it. But again, if you're shopping from any of those 4 Amazons that I mentioned, this one up here, this is US Amazon. Then I also have the UK, Canada, and Germany in the description of the video. I would greatly appreciate if you're going to order from one of those places, if you would use one of those links, because that is an affiliate link, which means you pay the same price no matter how you get there. But I get a small commission for being the advertiser. You know how when people buy spots for commercials and such, it's affiliate links. But the reason, the reason why you get paid for affiliate links is it's like that you're the advertiser. If they buy a commercial, they have to pay that, right? So, and that helps me be able to do things like this, that how I get paid for doing these lives. Obviously, you're not paying to watch this. How I get paid is by you actually going to the blog posts on my site that I share with you that have, because my blog is has ads on it and ad supported, or buying something from an affiliate link. That's how I end up getting paid for doing these things, and why I'm able to provide free things like this. All right, we have more comments, so let's go over to those real quick. Blah, blah, blah. Hand is out of order. Oh, well, I hope that you recover from your operation quickly, and that you have full use of your hand afterwards. That is always scary when you're an artist, a creator, and you injure a hand, right? I remember I had the one and only time I ever broke anything. I broke my hand, and I was terrified that it was going to affect. It was my right hand, and I was like, "This, I can't. I'm an artist." It was terrifying. So I really, really hope that you'll that once you have recovered, that you recover quickly, and that once you've recovered, you have full use of your hand. That is a scary thing indeed. You can see, Monique says you can see all the links in the description, and you are on YouTube. Awesome, not awesomeness. Sarah also wishes you a good recovery. Going slow, and it's your good hand as well. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's scary. That's very scary. I hope it recovers. You recover completely. All right, so with this fun book, I looked at it, okay, and look at these things. This is, like I said, I love everything about the way that she designs patterns and writes patterns. All right, so if we look, the book starts with a description, with an intro section that talks a lot about the technique and how to use the book. You really want to read this. You read this and you are going to be prepared to make all the patterns in the book. But you do need to read this because it's a technique, right? And so it explains the technique and how to read the patterns and everything, so that the patterns don't have to be a mile long. So it explains how the patterns are written and how to do the technique. It's really wonderful resources. Okay, and then we get into the patterns, and you'll see that for each pattern, there are two main photos. So here we go. Here is the first main photo, and you'll notice here that you can see the reversibleness of this pattern in this photo, because her sweater has blue with the pink plus signs, and then the scarf, you see the most part of the scarf you see on the opposite side, which is pink with blue squares. All right, this is called the tic-tac-toe light. And so then when you look on the next page, you see both of those things reversed. So there you go, there's that reversed. And you start off with a swatch. Okay, so look at that. I was using, and guys, I definitely recommend this with this book. Use something that to mark where you are. What I did was, I have this Post-it note, and I was putting it right above the line that I was working on, or maybe I put it right below it. I don't remember which. I put it right above it. It doesn't matter, whichever way works for you. But I put it right above the line that I was working on, so it's like when I was working on this row, I had it here, and then when I went on to the next row, I had it here. This is definitely a book where you want to make your swatches. And the really cool thing is, there's like 10 images for line 1 of the swatch, for row 1 of the, like, she really, really makes sure you understand each and every aspect of this pattern, okay? So this particular one, this particular swatch, is this one that's worked in the round? No. Okay. So here we have, this is that, all of that up to here, that was all just making the swatch and now how to measure the swatch. And she does that for each and every pattern, okay, which is amazing. And then you get into the actual pattern for the sweater and the scarf. Her patterns are all size inclusive. They have a huge range of sizes, I believe extra small to 5X. So you can see, just, it's gorgeous. And now here's our next one, wavelength. And so here is one side, and then flip it, there's the other side. So you can see how they're reversible. And if you go, you can really see the reversibleness when you go to the last page of the swatch page. Okay, so we have just gorgeous, gorgeous patterns in here. Let's see what else. We have the other tic-tac-toe pattern. Okay, the first one was the tic-tac-toe light, and we have this one. And I'm going to show you some of my swatches here in a moment. All right, here we go. So there is this one, the two sides of this one for the swatch. Okay, and then let's go. What's next? Whoop, gridlock. Okay, so gridlock here. There's that, and then let's find the two sides of that swatch. Okay, it's a little harder to see with this one. I believe I have this one swatched already, so I'll show you mine. But this side, there's little holes in the middle where you can see the white through it, and that side there's not. And then la la la. There's gloves or mitts with this one. Wah! Oopsie. Wavelength, I think was this. No, wavelength we did already. What is this one? Oh my goodness. Stop. Kaleidoscope. Okay, so this one is kaleidoscope, and see how this way kind of has vertical lines, and on this way it kind of is a little more squares or horizontalish. And where is the swatch page? New book, right? And doesn't always flip as easily. There we go. So there's the two sides of that one. All right, then let's see. La 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 la. Okay. Oh my goodness. I love like that she does them all in sets. So there's like 2 or 3 pieces for each set. So here we have tessellations, and there is the other side of the tessellations. And let's get to the last page of the swatch so that you can see a little bit more up close what each side of that stitch pattern looks like. Okay, so there you go. And was that the last one, or is there one more? I can't quite remember. I think, oh no, there's one more. Oh, I love this one. All right, this one is Equilibrium. I love them all. I probably said I love them, this one on all of them. So this one is Equilibrium, and that one has vertical stripes and then horizontal stripes. Okay, and let's see. Last page of the swatch. There you go. All right, so I'm pretty sure that was the last one. Yes, that was the last one. So, like I said, with this book, you definitely want to start off when you're making any of the patterns in here, make the swatches first. Not only because you should always make the swatches first. When it's something that's fitted, 100% make the swatches. If you're making just a scarf or a bag or whatever, maybe it's not always so important if you don't mind that the size might not be exact, which also will affect how much yarn you use. If that's not such a big deal, fine. But when you're talking about something that's fitted, you definitely need to make the swatch first. And with these, especially if you're not used to this technique, this crochet technique, then you definitely want to make the swatch first so that you can really get the hang of the technique. And you know, by making the swatch. Let me catch up on the comments because there have been a lot here. We have, didn't know you could make crochet reversible. Yeah, so like you'll see with the swatches, like you've seen here, and I'll show you, they look a little different on each side. And so the way she has you do the seaming and everything, both sides look beautiful. So you can wear it, and you can wear it either way, you can wear it with this side on the front, or you can turn it inside out, or whatever, however you want to call it, and wear it with the other side out. So that it's all about, like, when you have a stitch that looks different on both sides but looks beautiful on both sides, you can use that reversible as long as the way that you join or do your seams or whatever is done in a way where it looks nice on both sides. And she goes over all of that. Okay, it's a very easy to follow book. The finished projects may look scary, but oh my gosh, it's so well written and so friendly. You really want this book. All right. Well, if this is something that you find appealing, don't think you can't do it, because you can. You need to have the faith in yourself, and have the faith that this is an amazing book. Okay, I love it. When this is not a publisher that I had reviewed for before, but I think Ana-Maria asked them to send to ask me about this, because we've worked together with Crochet Foundry. And so, like, I took a look when they sent me the request. They sent me some photos and stuff, and I took a look at it, and I was like, oh, heck yes, definitely, this is amazing. Like, just knowing who the designer was and then seeing how amazing the book was going to be, I was like, yeah, because if I don't like something, I don't like having to write a bad review. So if there's something that's going to get a bad review, I just will choose not to review it. But I'm always going to be honest with you guys. So when I gush about something, like I'm gushing about this, there's a reason. Lovely. All of them are lovely. Yes. Her patterns are beautiful. Let's see. I know it looks difficult, and you know what? If your directions aren't good enough, if you don't have the pictures necessarily to help you out, it can be really difficult. But this book makes it so that it's possible. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit more when I show you the swatches about that. Yes, it is mosaic crochet. It is patterns for double-sided tops and accessories using interlocking technique. So it's the interlocking mosaic. There's a couple different. I know we were talking to Ashley Parker last month, and she was saying she's coming out with a mosaic book that it's not the interlocking, it's the other one that I can't think of right now what it's called, but there's like two main ways to do mosaic, and this is one of them. Monica says it's way beyond me at this point, but it's so pretty. It's really not. It's not, I promise, Monica. I have seen what you have made, Monica, and I do believe with a good book like this, you could do it. Is the fabric really thick? I'm going to show you the swatches again in a second, and it is doubled, yes. So, which is why it's great for things like sweaters and such, okay? So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the swatches, and we're also going to talk about when you're done with something, when you're done with your swatches, what are you going to do with them? What can you do with them? Like, I know some people will just frog them and use that yarn. They'll like not cut it off of the main yarn, off of the skein of yarn, and they'll use that. For something that you really, really desperately need a swatch for, like a sweater, I don't always recommend doing that, because you need to block it and everything before you measure your gauge, which you don't want to pre-wash or block or any of that. You don't want to wash or block or whatever your swatch and then frog it and use that yarn, because that's changed it's changed things. Like, the part of your final piece that used the yarn from the swatch is going to be a little different from everything else, because it's been washed and blocked or whatever. So with these, I've made 4 swatches so far, and 4.5. I have another one starting over here. So this was the very first swatch that I made. All right. And you can see, look at this. It's so pretty. And then look how it's different on the other side. All right. So this was the first swatch from this book I made. And it was really, really easy to follow along. Okay. I did, oh, look, there's the bottom. Here's the bottom. I went back and restarted it once, and I made a couple of mistakes that I had to frog a couple times as well within this first swatch that I made while I was getting used to the technique. I've done this technique before, but it's been several years, and I've only really done it once before, so I really needed all of the reminders and everything. And it was really, like I said, I was able to follow using the pattern you want to read the beginning of the book. Okay, I needed all of the extra information in this book to be able to follow the pattern. But I found that because of the information she gives at the beginning that says like this is the shorthand that she uses, you know, when she's writing the pattern, it actually, I feel like the pattern was probably easier to read with her shorthand than it would have been if everything was spelled out. Okay, so you learn with the swatch, you learn what the stitch is. You know, this is, it's a double crochet chain 1 or double crochet chain 2, is basically kind of one stitch almost with the way that she writes out the pattern. And then you're either working it in front or behind the previous color, the other color. And so if you're doing like 1 in front, 2 behind, and then 1 in front, and then 2 behind, it'll be 1F, 2F across until however many double crochets remain. So the way she writes it, you get all the information you need, but it's just easier to follow along because it's just one row isn't like this long because of all of the words in there. She explains the shorthand at the beginning, and then you can go through, and it's just so much more efficient. Takes less pages to print, so the book doesn't have to cost as much, and it's just easier. You don't lose your place. You can wrap your head around it a little easier. It really works well. Okay, so for this pattern, let's catch up with some more of the questions here. Let's see, what can we do then? We're going to talk about that. Thank you. You can use basically any, like, use this, any yarn. You just want it to be appropriate for what you're making, and of course to work with the gauge of whatever the gauge of the item is. Hello from Alaska. And we're just all saying hello. Awesomeness. Okay, so for this one, this is a universal yarn. It's I think it's a wool mix. It's just, you know, a lot of these yarns are from my scrapped, and I wanted to make sure that they were the right. This is a DK. Most of the patterns in her book are DK. There's 2 patterns that are sport weight. So this was a DK yarn, and it's got a nice thickness to it. So this one would be great to use for like a trivet. Okay, I'm going to show you all of these, and then we'll kind of go through a bunch of different ideas. But this one has a nice, it's kind of dense, and it feels insulated, right? Because of the yarn that I used. Now, this one is also a DK. This is the one, the gridlock pattern that I was saying you were going to want to see my swatch, because in the book it was a little harder to see that this is an open square, but on this side you have an open square, and on this side you have a closed square. And this is, I think it's a Kramer Perfection DK is the yarn that I used for this one. All right. And it is, this is so pretty with colors that contrast well. You definitely want colors that contrast well for this particular pattern, because of that little hole in the square. If your colors don't contrast well enough, you're not going to really see that little hole in the square, right? And you wouldn't want a yarn that's got a big halo or is really fuzzy, because again, it'll make it harder to see that hole in the square. So that's another reason why you want to swatch, is you want to see, can you actually see the details within here with the yarn that you've chosen to use. So there is that one. Let's see, then I have, now this one I used a hemp yarn, and you can see that it's really a much more open kind of weave to it. And so if I were actually going to make the pattern with it, I haven't checked the gauge, and I also haven't pre-washed or blocked this yet. But if I were going to make a sweater and use this yarn, it would be something more like a spring or fall kind of sweater, right? It wouldn't be a winter sweater because it's so much lighter weight. But this is the tic-tac-toe one, not the tic-tac-toe light, but the regular tic-tac-toe one. And you can see the pluses on that side and the squares on this side. And I would be really interested to try to swatch this again with a different yarn to see, or I just really should just check it with the gauge. I have a feeling that this ended up bigger than it should. Okay, I haven't actually checked the gauges yet. I've just like worked on making the swatches. I haven't blocked them or anything yet. Then I have two different swatches that I was making using the two sport weight patterns, and I've been using the Hirschner's Afghan yarn, the 2-ply Afghan yarn, which is a size 2 or sport weight, and it's actually 100% acrylic, but it really works up like wool does. Okay, so this is the tic-tac-toe light, so the small version of tic-tac-toe, and I love this. I love the way it came out, the yarn and the stitch pattern. It all worked really nicely together. This is super fun. Okay, and then the second one I'm in the process of making with this one. Oh, I got my hook stuck here. This is the very last pattern in the book, and this swatch you make in, is this the last pattern in the book? No, it's not the last one. I think it's right about in the middle. But this swatch you actually make in the round. So here is one side of it, and then there is the other side of it. Okay, so this one gets swatched in the round, but the pattern, the swatch pattern tells you how to do that. It gives you all the information you need. You get an actual pattern for the swatch and the step-by-step instructions. And you'll need I've been using 2 stitch markers for every swatch. When you end a row, you stick a stitch marker on where the hook was, and I put the stitch marker on this one. Obviously I was in the middle of, and I usually would still put a stitch marker on it, but I forgot. I usually will put the stitch marker on the loop before I remove the hook, and then go over and pick it up from the other stitch marker, which is why I use 2, but you could just use 1, because when you're working, there's only 1 stitch marker being used at a time. I just use 2 so that when I'm changing where the hook is, I don't mess things up. And I do prefer to use the Melody clips here because you can take them on and off. You don't have to like open anything, but they don't come off on their own. So I like to use the Melody clips from Twice Sheared Sheep. All right. So, and of course with Twice Sheared Sheep, there is that coupon code you can use, which is all caps Jessie at home 20, and it's 20% off, I think. Sarah usually covers my butt on that one. Here is the Twice Sheared Sheep affiliate link. And let's see, do I have I do not have a, oh, I do. Okay, I'm going to change this, this QR code. Here is the Twice Sheared Sheep QR code, the affiliate link for Twice Sheared Sheep. And there is the actual link written out. So you can click on that to go over to Twice Sheared Sheep, and I like using their Melody clips for their the stitch markers. They don't snag on anything, and they're so easy to put on and off, and you don't have to like open or close them the way you have to open and close some of the crochet stitch markers. All right, so grab that real quick because I'm about to switch it back. Let's see. All right, I'm switching this back right now. We're going back to Reversible Crochet Sweaters. There we go. I just changed that, and we'll switch the banner so you can see it. And now let's see. There's a few more comments. Sarah rocks. All right, we love Twice Sheared Sheep, all the things. And yes, I was correct. It is all caps Jessie at home 20, and you get 20% off. All right, so that's awesome sauce. Okay, so there are all of the swatches I made. So let's now talk about things you can do with your swatches. And this is where I definitely need participation, guys. Let me know any ideas you have. What do you like to do with your finished swatches? Because if you have if you've made them and then pre-washed them, if they need to be pre-washed and blocked them and everything, at that point, you can't take it apart and use the yarn for your finished project because the yarn will now be a little different from what was in the swatch versus what's coming straight off the skein. So we're going to pop over here, and yes, I agree, Sarah rocks. So let's talk about some of these things you can do. Okay, so I was saying like some of these, this would be really good for a trivet. Now, a lot of times all you really need to, you can just put an edge. Sometimes you can use them exactly as they are once you've woven in your ends. You can also just crochet around, give it a border. And you might need, let's see, you are welcome. You might need a couple inches of border depending on, you know, your uses. I would maybe put maybe an inch or so of border around this to make it a trivet. All right. The trivet is the thing that you put, like you put it on the table and put a hot pot on it, so it protects your table. Whenever you're using yarn for something like a trivet or a pot holder or anything like that, you do need to be cautious. Check your fiber content. You know, make sure it's not going to melt. Make sure it is actually going to insulate. Like I like to use them for trivets. I'm not as keen on using them for like pot holders for taking hot pots and stuff off the stove, just because I really like to make sure that what I have is truly rated for that. And I actually like the ones that have the little like silicone stripes in them, so I don't lose my grip. I have a tendency to burn myself. So I like the pot holders that you buy that have the little strips of silicone in them, because I'm a klutz, right? Depending on the line, you like to turn them into washcloths or kitchen items. Beautiful. I love that one. Exactly. And along that line, again, washcloths or kitchen items, when you're talking like washcloths, they're kind of small, right? So it's fine for a washcloth. You can, for when you're washing dishes, if it's something that would work for a washcloth for like washing your face, you might be fine with a swatch size. Or again, you might decide you want to put a border on it, around it. Or if you're talking, you know, if it's something that's, the yarn is something that you think would work for a baby, it's a nice size for a baby washcloth, right? I wouldn't necessarily go with these swatches. Most likely they're not going to be something that's good for a washcloth, just because you're swatching for sweaters for the winter, and they're also a lot thicker, right? So kind of, but the thickness of them makes them great for washing dishes kind of washcloth. And you might even, once you do it, go, ooh, you know what? Now I have an idea. I'm actually just going to make this swatch using my scrubby yarn to make dishcloths to wash dishes with. Awesome. Sometimes your swatch ends up becoming a pattern for you, right? So there's that. Yeah, Monique is saying you use cotton for a lot of the bathroom kind of supplies or kitchen supplies. What else did I have written down? Oh, you might, of course, something like this, or like a really cool technique or whatever, you might just want to actually label and keep. If you want to remember what things look like, what they feel like, you might want to label them and keep them. So you can use like index cards, or you use index cards, punch a hole in it, and just kind of sew it on. You could use like a sandwich bag, and if you want to make sure that they can go into like a binder, a 3-ring binder. Something I've seen is using a sandwich bag, and you put the index card with the information of where you got the pattern, so you know what book to look in or what website to go to or whatever. Or if it's a really simple pattern, if it's just, this is what double crochet looks like in this yarn, you put that on there, and you put all of the yarn information and the hook information, everything you used, so your yarn, your hook, where the pattern came from, all on that index card, and you put both of those things, the swatch and the index card, in a little Ziploc bag, and then you punch your holes in it and stick it in a binder. Great way to keep them if you want to keep them, just so that you remember what things look like. All right. And feel like, and how they work with different yarns or whatever. And if you've done any blocking or pre-washing with them, you want to write that on the index card. Put everything on the index card so you know exactly what it is if you're going to keep it. Okay, another really fun idea is if you made them with a feltable yarn. So if you made it with something that's, wool, something that's feltable, you can actually go ahead when you're done with your swatch, and felt it. Wash it on high, dry it on high, scrub it together, felt it. Once if you've got something that's really, really feltable, once it's felted, you can cut it and it won't fray because it's felted together, right? So something like this size, now this isn't going to felt because as much as it looks and acts like wool, it's actually 100% acrylic. So this one is not going to felt, but if it was something that would felt, it would be a lot smaller when I was done. It might be like this kind of size when it's done, right? And then what you can do is you can use that. If it gets really small, you know, you could use it just as is, as a scrubby in the shower. Okay. You can also take it and you can cut shapes out of it to make like little flowers. One year for holiday gifts, I was working at a craft store, and I would make all the displays and everything for the craft store. And I got permission from the boss to use the little knitting machine when my shift was over. And I bought some washable yarn. I bought some feltable yarn, just like a nice wool yarn that felted really well in a couple colors. And I just made big, like I ran them like an entire skein of each color, or 2 skeins of some of them, through the knitting machine, just going back and forth with some good music playing. And then I washed them, I felted them really well, and I just cut out bunches of like flowers in different shapes, and I made a whole bunch of really pretty little brooches and stuff with it. Okay, now that, because I was making a whole project with, I actually like used the yarn, used up a whole skein of yarn. But you can just do your swatch, if it's something that's feltable, felt it, and then cut out your little shapes for appliques or patches or whatever you want them for, right? So that's a really fun idea. Let's see. Let me see. We've got a few more. Good idea. Keep a journal, but it's hard to put swatches in there. It's too bulky. Yeah, exactly. It's hard to put swatches in a journal, which is why something like a binder with the little that opens and closes are good. The other thing you can do, you can use that same technique where you put everything in the Ziploc bag and you poke a hole in it, and you can get the round office clips, right? They make them like 2 or 3 inches. Get those big round office clips that just open and close, and you can just put one hole and hang them off of that, and then, you know, put them somewhere. But I find like the neatest, easiest to organize way is to do it in the zip bags and put it in a binder. Because yeah, when you try to put it in an existing book like a journal, it makes everything like pop out really big. We love felting, definitely. Wool, yeah, exactly. Wool, not superwash. A good way to know is, well, if you just get something that's 100% wool, awesome. You can also, you know, just type in like, what's a good yarn to felt with? What's a good feltable yarn? Most of the time, if you find something that's 100% wool and it's not superwash, it will felt. Okay. So I feel like when I did that one project, I feel like I was just like a Patton's wool. It was something I got at AC Moore, which is, you know, AC Moore, Michaels, Joann's, all that. I know Joann's isn't around anymore. Neither is AC Moore or Rag Shop. But the only one that's still here is Michaels. But yeah, 100% wool is usually a good one to go with. You do not want it to say superwash. When it says superwash, it's not going to felt. Well, it might a little bit, but not as much at all. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, right. I had a fun swatch. I was trying out this new like stitch pattern that I was just like playing around with, and my little niece has her favorite little doll and was like, and asked me if I would make her doll a blanket. So I was like, I had this swatch and I'm like, oh, this is cute. She'll like this. So I just like put a little border on it to like make it look really nice around the edges, and it was a little blanket for her doll, you know. So there you go. There's another really super easy one. Monica is agreeing, yes, 100% wool, superwash doesn't work. Let's see, we already said some of these things. Oh, here's a fun thing. I meant to present my screen earlier, but We want the entire screen over here. Share. Okay, so this is just a page over on Jessie at Home. I thought I copied the link, but I did not. Here, I'll just copy the link in real quickly for you. It's Jessie at Home Bunny Squared. If you just go to Jessie at Home and type in bunny, helps if I actually copy and paste correctly. Copy and paste. Okay. So again, but there's a million places you can find this. It might be a little hard to see depending on the size here, but this is just a square swatch. All right. And I made this in conjunction with a post that I wrote about just how to knit. So this is just a plain garter stitch, knit garter stitch, but you can do this with any swatch that is solid enough that you can use it, stuff it. All right, so like I would not use it with this because this is way too open to stuff, right? But like, you know, these I can totally stuff these. It works great with the garter stitch. It would work fine with single crochet, any of your basic crochet stitches. What you do is you mark the center of 3 of the sides. All right, so I've marked the center of these 3 sides, but not the bottom. And then you do a little, just a running stitch where you just go up, down, up, down, up, down, right? You start up here at the top, and then you go running stitch to here, running stitch all the way across to here, running stitch all back up to here, and you leave the 2 ends sticking out, okay? So that way it's all one continuous piece of yarn. It started right here and ended right here, okay? Then, all right, I maybe started and ended on this picture right here, actually, and I think you do want to do that now that it's been a while since I've made these. So you want to start and end on one of the 2 sides. You can start it here or here, either way, but not on the top. The top is the one place where you don't want to start, of course. All right, so then you pull it, you start to pull it tight, and as you're starting to pull it tight, you'll get a little pouch. That triangular section that we made will start to form up into a pouch, and you stuff some stuffing into it, and you keep pulling, and then you can tie it shut once it's done. The reason why I was saying, well, I guess it really, by the time you're done, it's all of those points have come together. So really, I guess you can start anywhere. But I find that sometimes I like to take the 2 ends of the yarn and kind of wrap, rather than just tying them together. Sometimes I like to wrap it around a little bit to help get the shape of the bunny a little better. Or you can just pull it tight and tie the knot, and you can see already how it's becoming a bunny. The triangle turned into a little head. The two triangular points on the 2 sides became the little ears, and then the rectangular part on the bottom is the body. So then you just sew that rectangular body part up. So we sewed these 2 sides together and toss some stuffing in it, and then sew up the little booty bottom. And if you want to toss a pom-pom on there, you can. And you can see here's a bunch of different little bunnies. I put little faces on them. That it's really cute, and you know, is a great way to use up your swatches. And you can also stuff these also with catnip, all right, and make a cat toy with them. You can take a swatch and just fold it in half and stuff it with catnip as well, but it's kind of fun to make a little bunny. It doesn't really take that long to make them. So there we go. We'll pop back to here and back to comments. Here we go. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, pockets. All right, if you want to put a pocket on something, if you want to put a pocket on a bag, if you want to put a pocket on your pants, if you want to put a pocket on your jacket, whatever you want to put pocket on, they make great pockets. Okay? Monique, my cats would love that. Yeah, exactly. It's so much fun, right? So they're great for pockets. You can make small bags. All right, this would be, look at this, these 2 together, these would make an adorable bag. You can just seam the sides and make a bag just this size. But you could also, if you're making a bunch of swatches that are the same size with a similar yarn, you could do 4 at a time to make a bigger bag. Oh my goodness, hiccups. I have a bag that I made that I used 3 swatches, right? And then I folded them in half. So instead of being this size, it was kind of like that size, right? So, that's an idea for swatches, and that's for, I'm not saying specifically for these swatches. Like for these swatches, I love it if you can see both sides, but not all of these things you could see both sides. You could make a reversible little bag, right? Another thing you could do that would be, if you like used the same kind of yarn, but maybe different colors or whatever, and swatched the entire book, you could make a really nice scarf. Or you could just keep all of your swatches until you have enough to make a scarf, and not care that it's different kinds. I would do whatever you're going to do to wash your finished scarf, which, and that I would probably just go ahead, if you're doing just all of your old swatches, I would do a hand wash. I would do like hand wash with Unicorn Clean. Oh my God, really? Sorry, we have spam. Let me block the user and delete the comment. All right, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. Hey, that's a sign that you're doing well when people start putting spammy comments, right? All right, so for a scarf, I would just use like the Unicorn Clean fiber wash to hand wash them, and I would just fill up the sink if your sink is clean, or a big bucket or whatever, and some Unicorn Clean in there, and swish them around a bit, and then rinse them off really well, and then lay flat to dry. Because you don't usually wash your scarves, right? But they might occasionally need to be washed, or you might need to spot wash them. So I do like to start off with having pre-washed them. And definitely for a scarf, then when I'm all done with it, when the scarf is totally done, I'll probably give it a little soak in the Unicorn rinse, because the Unicorn Clean fiber rinse, it doesn't need to be rinsed out. But it kind of helps protect, like it'll protect it from the sun. It'll help protect the colors, and it'll be easier to clean if you do have to spot clean it later. But you can just take all of your different swatches, give them a little edge, and then seam them together. And some will be bigger or smaller. So some might need, like, if this is one of your swatches and this is one of your swatches, okay, you're definitely going to need to put a bigger border on this one than you put on this one, right? So you'll just do the different size borders. You'll find whatever your biggest swatch is and do like a really thin border on it. And then you'll measure that and you'll say, okay, this is how wide all of my swatches need to be. And then do that, or however you want to do it. You could just attach this to here, and then you could attach it like, right there, and then just do a little bit of crochet rectangle right over here. However you want to do it. But you could take a whole bunch of your swatches, just keep them together, just have a little bin of them where you keep tossing them, and then when you have enough, make a really fun mismatched scarf with them. That would be like super cool. Okay, take that to a larger level, make a blanket. That would be a lot of fun. All right, let's see. Pockets should be on everything. I think I said that already, but it deserves being said twice. Oh, something that I saw somebody do with some of their swatches when they were swatching, like Fair Isle, is you can frame them. Okay, if it's like if it's some beautiful little design, or maybe you started making you were gonna make this blanket that had these really pretty little like intricate designed squares, and you got like 2 or 3 of them done, and you're like, oh my God, I'm not making an entire blanket's worth of this. I'll be working for years. So, because some people have more time to knit or crochet or craft, and some people have less time to craft. So if you don't have as many hours per day and days per week to craft, then a really intricately designed blanket with a bunch of little squares might be a bit much. And after you get 3 of them done, you're like, no. Okay, so now what do? Yeah, you can make a bag. You could take it if you have like a little one in your life or whatever, depending on what the design is. Stick it on, put that square on the back of a jean jacket or something, or frame them. Okay, just do 3 of those. Ira Rott has some really cute little squares on various blankets that are just adorable little animal squares. Sarah of Repeat Crafter Me has some adorable squares. She has like the my calendar back here Sarah gave me. Sarah from Repeat Crafter Me gave me. She had printed up a bunch of these for friends, and it's her, the pictures on them are her little gnome squares. All right, so there's the October gnome, and there's the September. That was September gnome, October. All right, and in a couple days we'll move on to November, and the November gnome is a turkey gnome, and of course the December gnome is a Santa gnome. So like you could make the gnome blanket with this, but you could just make there's 3 months to a season, so you could make the 3 months to the season, whatever season it is, and then frame all 3 of those and have those hanging up. And you could do 4 sets of those, so you have 1 for each season if you want. But you could do the same idea with squares that aren't necessarily seasonal, that are maybe or you could do it with squares that are seasonal when we do it for 1 season. But you could do it like with baby themed ones. You could do it with flower themed ones. You could do it with whatever you want, your favorite sports team, and just frame, 3 or however many. Just only make a smaller amount of them and frame them and put them, do your sports ones and put them in your little game room, or do the flower ones and put them in your little sitting room. Okay, whatever floats your boat, dude. Whatever makes you happy. So framing them is a wonderful answer for something that's like just really, really pretty. Texture book. If you have someone in your life who likes various textures, sometimes some of our neuro spicy friends will sometimes really like to have the different textures to touch. And of course, babies, you like to give them like the texture books and everything. So anyone who likes the sensory stuff, you could, if you have a couple of different swatches that are very textural, these are all very textural. The waffle stitch, the alpine stitch, anything with front and back post stitches, anything with surface crochet, which is usually front and back post stitches, but all of that sort of stuff that has that really wonderful texture to it, you could again border them, put borders on them so they're all the same size, and then seam a few of them together to make a little texture book for somebody. Okay, that is a super, make the texture book for like a baby. But if you have someone who's not a baby, who's a sensory person, you could do the book. You could do whatever you think they're gonna like most. You could do a book. You could do them, just put them on one of the office rings. They do make the smaller ones too, in addition to the giant ones. You could put them on like one office ring. You could give them to them individually. You might want to, like, what I might do if I were talking with somebody who was like neurospicy and liked the sensory things, if I was going to make it for them and I wanted to make it for them for a gift, what I might do is have all of the individual pieces made and bordered and everything and ready, give them to it at that, and say, I wanted to ask you how you would like this put together. Would you like it on a ring? Would you like it sewn together as a book? Do you just prefer to have them individually so you can stick one in your pocket? What would make you happy? And go that way. Okay, so those are, it's up to you how you want to do that. But I mean, the texture is nice. And again, with something like that, you definitely want to make sure, really, this person just started another, our spammer just opened up another account and spammed the same thing. Persistence is key, apparently. Something like that, you want to make sure that it's washable. Okay, babies, they're gonna spit up on it, whatever. So for the baby book, I would make it machine washable and dryable. Okay, or at least machine washable. Dryable is nice too, because let's be honest, mom is probably going to throw it in the washer and dryer if the baby spits up on it, right? Because honestly, being clean and safe for the child is a little bit more important than whether or not the book gets ruined when it goes in the washer and dryer. And moms don't, moms of babies don't have the time to do all that stuff. Someone older, I would still, if it can be machine washable, lay flat to dry, that would be nice. But if you want it at least to be able to be spot cleaned, if they say they want to be able to put it in their pocket, I would make sure it's machine washable. Okay. If they want it in book form, not, or even on the little key rings, you might not need to worry about machine washable so much. But if someone's going to be putting it in their pocket and taking it out, and I would definitely make sure it's washable, because it's probably going to get a little dirty, right? And you don't want, if it's something they end up falling in love with, you don't want them to have to wash it and have it be ruined. So there's some ideas. I think I've gone through all of the ideas I had written down. I am going to brainstorm more, because I'm going to actually write up the review for this book in the next week or two. All right, it's not even available. You can pre-order it now, but it comes out on Tuesday the 4th. All right, so that is the third thing that's awesome about Tuesday. Election day in the States, my mom's birthday, and the day that this book comes out. Woohoo! All happen Tuesday the 4th, this coming Tuesday, a week from yesterday. So in the next week or two, I will get out the review for this. I need to finish doing, I'm going to swatch every single one of these. I just have various yarn left over from old projects that I'm using, but they're all yarns that I might use to actually make a sweater with them. And then the review of this is going to be a two-part article. One part is the review of this, and the other part is going to be what to do with swatches. And it's going to show you things to do with these swatches. I'm going to actually do some things with these swatches. Excuse me. But the what to do with swatches is going to be any kind of swatches, any knit or crochet swatches, not just the ones from this book. Okay, so I will specifically address the ones from this book, like what I'm doing with each of them, what I will do with each of them, but I will also have things that you can do with other swatches as well, because these swatches, again, like I said, none of the swatches I'm going to make for these would be great for any sort of kitchen or bathroom use, because they're going to be stuff that I'm not going to want to be able, it's not going to have the absorbance of, it's not going to work well for scrubbing things. It's not going to be as washable, whatever. So yeah, we'll go through all of that sort of stuff. Oh, and it is 6 p.m. in the Netherlands. So, oh my goodness, it's 1:07 here. Guys, I so passed the 1 o'clock mark because we were just having awesome conversations and occasionally being interrupted by that spammer. Well, have a wonderful evening then, Petra. If you are having dinner, enjoy your dinner. And I really hope that your hand heals back to normal usage. That is very scary for a crafter, or anyone, but especially a crafter. All right, so guys, I'm going to get that post up for you in the next week or two, where there's even more ideas. So if in the meantime you come up with any other ideas for swatches, go ahead and drop me a line. You can email me Jessie at jessieathome.com or support@crochetfoundry.com. You can reply to any of the newsletters that you've gotten, anything like that. You can pop on my Facebook for Jessie at Home. And let me know if you have any other ideas of things you like to do with swatches, or things you want to see me teach you how to do with swatches. It was a bad break, operated and steel also. Oh my goodness, that was a serious one. So yeah, we're going to make sure that I'm going to make sure that I get that post up for you in the next week or two. Hopefully by the end of next week it'll be up. And I will talk to you next week. There is not a sit and stitch today because it is the 5th Wednesday of the month, right? So we have one on the first 4 Wednesdays of every month. This month had a 5th Wednesday. So there is not a sit and stitch today. If you got the newsletter for this week, it gave you the link for next week's sit and stitch. So there is a sit and stitch next week. It's one of the afternoon ones. I think it's the 6 to 8 one. It could be the 7 to 9, but I'm pretty sure it's the 6 to 8 one. But I will see you here live same time next week, and I will give you the link for that sit and stitch then. And of course, if you get the newsletter, Jessie at Home or Crochet Foundry, at this point they've kind of merged into one newsletter, then you'll get the links in there as well. All right, so I will see you later. Happy stitching, happy swatching, and hopefully now that you know some fun things to do with your swatches, and once I put out that post, even more fun things to do with swatches, hopefully you will be more inclined to make swatches so that your finished projects end up exactly as you want. All right, or your finished projects end up exactly the size that you want. Bye-bye, everybody.